Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Writer's Parachute, where we are guiding writer and author dreams to a perfect landing. And today we have with us another children's author, Portia Y Claire, and we're going to be talking about her book. I know the name. It is Best Friends Forever's A Puppy's Tale. So we're going to be talking to her in a moment. But of course, first, we always have the little bit of housekeeping that we need to do. Of course, we want you to smash that like button. We want you to share it with all of your friends. And we want you to subscribe on the YouTube channel. And now you can subscribe on many of the podcasting platforms. We are pretty much on every podcasting platform across the spectrum. If you find a podcast that we are not included on, please let me know, and we'll be sure to sign up and get our Writer's Parachute to you on that podcasting platform. And as always, during the month of April, we have been talking about the season. It is the season for writers and authors to get their books out there, get submissions into awards, go to conferences, and participate in book festivals. Sometimes all three happen at once. We do have a couple of suggestions for you today. Unfortunately, we don't have exact dates on all of them. So one of them that Portia mentioned that she's going to be participating in is the San Francisco Book Festival, and their submission deadline is coming up very quickly. That is May 25th. So if you would like to participate with the San Francisco Book Festival and submit your book, I would say get that in as soon as possible. We do not have an actual date for the festival, but I do believe that is coming in the fall, if I remember correctly. Also, we want to talk about the Hollywood Book Festival. That is also an award that they are taking submissions right now. Again, we do not have an actual deadline or a date of the Hollywood Book Festival, but if you go check that out, you can submit your book. There are several categories to submit to. And then, of course, as a conference, we want to remind you one of the biggies. The ALA annual conference, that is the American Library Association's conference, is coming up on June 23rd through 28th. So if you want to participate with that, I believe it is in Washington, D.C. So check that out. See if you can make that. It's always an excellent panel that they have. Lots of good information about the upcoming year and changes in the book industry and the library industry. So go check those out. So, of course, as always, if you have participated in a festival, a conference, or an award, and you would like us to recommend it to our listeners, please leave me a note in the comment, or you can contact me directly. There is information on the podcast to reach me directly, and I will check it out and recommend it. So we're always looking for new recommendations. Of course, next month, we're going to talk about getting yourself set up and making it a habit. So look forward to that during the month of May. And of course, always, we do provide links in the show notes at the end. So be sure to check that out. But right now, we want to welcome our very special guest, Portia Y Claire, to the Writer's Parachute. Portia Yvette Clare has been privileged to serve in developing the minds and character of children for over 30 years. A graduate of Duke University and Regent University, she maintains her love of learning and earnestly desires to empower the children who have entrusted to her care. Simply put, Portia teaches because she values children. Her love of children and family compel her to write stories that will help them to recognize their importance, appreciate their value, and navigate through difficult life experiences. Creative writing has always brought her joy, and writing children's books has been her passion since childhood. Portia is the only child of the late Randolph George Clare Jr. and Jane Esterling Clare. She was born in Bennettsville, South Carolina, and raised in Nassau, Bahamas. Wow. Her family relocated to Bentonville, South Carolina in 2015, where she and her mother currently reside. For more information about her books and other things, you can visit her website, which is portiayclare.com, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that. So welcome to the Writer's Parachute. How are you today, Portia?
Greetings and salutations, Ms. Cowan. I am doing wonderfully well, and it is my privilege and pleasure to be here with you and your listening audience today. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and share my resource of care, Best Friends Forever, A Puppy's Tale. I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for you. You and I have had some workings prior to this day, and you have been extremely helpful to me. You've been gracious with your time. And I am just thankful for who you are as a person. And again, thankful for the opportunity to be here to share my book.
Wow, I don't know who's interviewing who, but thank you for that. I do appreciate that. Sometimes you just try to do and be who you are, and sometimes those blessings come raining down on you like today. So thank you for that. I do appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about your book, The Best Friends Forever, A Puppy's Tale. And it's about a special bond between a child and her first pet. So why was that an important theme for you to focus on for your first book here?
Well, I think friendship for children is a very important thing. And writing this book gave me the opportunity to allow children to see a young child developing a relationship with a pet that was genuine. It's kind of like developing a friendship with someone who was in school, but you have this person with you or this pet with you all the time. So I think the theme of friendship is essential for children to understand. And having a pet at home kind of helps children with getting acclimated to having friends at school. The friendship between a pet and a person is just a special relationship. And I wanted to highlight it for that reason and other reasons as well. But that's primarily the answer to that question.
Okay, yeah, and after reading the book, I do appreciate the fact that you did focus on this as an in-depth relationship, all the good and the bad, whereas a lot of times we see in children's book, a lot of these things are very superficial. So I do appreciate that. But I wanted to know what actually inspired you to write this particular story, because it's interesting the way you approached it.
Well, there are two reasons for my inspiration. The first one, of course, is my daddy. I remember having a conversation with him before he passed away, and he, matter of factly, just asked me. He said, he calls me Scoop. He said, "Have you begun to write your children's books? You've been talking about writing books for some time now, and I was wondering if you put anything down on paper." And I said, "Well, Daddy, I've thought about several things. I have several things in my head, but I haven't put anything down yet." And he looked at me and he said, "Scoop, do it now. Now is the acceptable time. It's time to put something on paper." And so I did. I began to write. And what I ended up writing was Best Friends Forever, A Puppy's Tale. And the second inspiration is that this is my story. This is a true story. I am Scoopy, and the puppy in the story, Sandy, was my puppy. So it helped me to pull on something that I was familiar with and that was endearing to me, and I thought would be extremely beneficial to children, particularly because we've been going through COVID and there have been so many deaths in their families. Some have even lost pets, but people. And I thought, well, this is a good time to share this particular story because perhaps it would be a resource of care that parents could use to help children through loss.
Right. And you and I kind of shared that, where we were very inspired and encouraged by our parents. You, like I, were unable to publish our books before that encouraging parent did pass on, but I still feel that inspiration, and I know that you do too. So
Yes.
that's always, and again, you bring up a very good topic. When you're starting out, write what you know. I mean, it sounds simple, but if you're going to tell a story that you're very familiar with, either one that you've worked on for years or something that's happened in your life that you're going to fictionalize. So that's a very good point. So, and you mentioned that this is your story, and the main character's name is Scoopy, which is a nickname that your father gave you.
That's
And
right.
she has a very dedicated little puppy, or she's very dedicated to her new puppy named Sandy. So I want to know how that particular relationship connects with the readers for the age of this book, which is about a 4 to 9 year old.
Well, I think it relates very well to children in that age because oftentimes young families begin to have pets. Sometimes parents like to raise their babies with a brand new puppy at the same time to get them acclimated to one another. So I thought it was appropriate for children at this age because I was this age when I had the puppy. So I wanted to write it for children who were the very same age that I was when my relationship with Sandy took place.
Right. And it does also deal with death and the loss of a pet. And it does it in a very compassionate and hopeful manner. So why was that particular message important or essential to be part of your book? Why was it so important to go to the place of death and dying and loss?
I think death is a very serious subject, and it's probably one that is difficult for parents to talk about with young children. Um, and so having the experience of losing my pet at a young age and having my parents walk me through that, I thought would be appropriate to give parents as a resource of care to use for an instance of losing a pet or even losing a family member. It's an opportunity for them to see that you have a bond that will never go away. And then something happens like an illness that causes all kinds of questions and confusion and concern.
Mhm.
But you have a parent who's able to walk you as a child through that, answering questions to the best of their ability to help you understand the experience. And then if your pet does not survive, them being there for that part as well with your pet's transition and helping you through that process, crying with you and holding you and listening to your questions and trying to answer them in a way that you as a young child would understand. And then waiting for you to be able to move on to something else, to another pet, if that is what you want. And so I wanted to walk parents and children through that experience as gently as possible because it's not an easy subject, but it is an important subject and it touches every person, whether it be through a pet or whether it be through a person. And I'm hoping that the way that it has been delivered would be helpful to parents of young children and even older children. But my concern was to really speak to those who were at the age that Scoopy was when all of this occurred in her life or in my life.
Right. And I would highly recommend this book to anyone that has children dealing with loss or with illness, whether it be a pet or be a relative or someone that they know. I know for me, when my grandchildren were younger and I did lose one of my cats, she was much older. I mean, she lived to be 22 years old, so I can't really complain. But again, these children had been around this pet for a very long time. And so when she got sick and there was the concern about her passing on, this was a conversation that we had to have over and over again. And I would have welcomed your book as a resource to kind of help them understand, not only from the point of view of an adult, but through the point of view of a child and
Yes.
that connection that they had, and how to, what I love about your book is it doesn't stop at the loss. It continues on about how to get past that loss, which is amazing. So I think you did a great job. So you're also still currently
Thank you.
teaching. So how is that transitioning into a writer? Has that been easy or complicated with your background in teaching while you're still teaching?
It's actually been easy because I'm thinking of my students while I'm writing. And so my experiences with them are also helping me. I'm recognizing that the things that I'm writing about and the things that I want to write about will speak to the children that I'm teaching currently and have taught in the past. My objective is that what I share will help children to recognize their quality, appreciate their value, and navigate through challenging life experiences such as death or loss. So I listen to the conversations that my students have. I listen to the conversations that they have with me. I've been teaching for 31 years, and some things ring true. 8-year-olds or 8-year-olds or 8-year-olds, etc. So you hear things, and through my conversations with my students, I now see some things that I want to write about and share that I think will help them as they're going through different life experiences. So it
Well,
actually has been wonderful.
right. And I absolutely agree. So we're going to shift gears just a little bit and talk about why you're here on the writer's parachute. We're always talking about problems. And so as a new author and writing and publishing while teaching, I am sure that you had many lessons that you had to learn. So what would you say was like the most valuable one for you?
I think the most valuable lesson that I learned is that I did not know what I did not know. So I needed to ask for help. There's so many parts to writing a book, publishing a book, marketing a book. And those things I did not know until they came upon me. And it was necessary for me to get help from people who had expertise in each of these areas. I didn't know what to do. So I found help through my publishing company. I've even found help through you, Ms. Cowan, and in speaking with other people. It's important to ask for help. You have not because you ask not. And I found that people are very much willing to share what it is that they know to help you to understand more clearly what it is that you are trying to do. So that for me was the biggest challenge or difficulty, just not knowing what I didn't know, but recognizing you need to ask for help. And thankfully, help was available.
Right. And and I'm just going to add one little caveat to that. It's you also have to understand that not all help is equal. So
Indeed.
while people are very willing to offer advice and information, it is incumbent upon you to go check that advice and information, because while somebody is certainly not trying to sabotage you, they may not fully understand why they did something in a particular way that may not work for you and your journey or your book and your publishing of that book. So
Indeed.
but I agree with you. Asking for help is always very important, because again, I say this all the time, you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it.
That's right. That's
And
right.
it's, and you do have to find the information and get yourself some help. And we're going to talk a little bit about that when we pull the ripcord later on my writing tip for the day.
The
So
other thing I want to add to that is when you find out information, be willing to share it with other people. You know what it feels like to not know. And now that you found that information, be excited about sharing it with others, because so many people are trying to do the same thing. And it helps when you can share what it is that you have learned with them.
absolutely, I agree 100%. But again, I would just say do make sure that you're paying attention, that you are giving general advice. And a lot of times I talk to people and they're like, well, I'm not really a coach. And I'm like, but the person you're giving that advice to may not understand that, and that you're just giving the advice of what you went through and what you did. But yes, do share your information, share the wealth, pass it on,
Indeed.
help somebody else up the ladder behind you. So I agree with all of those. So you have some upcoming events and things going on with your book. Do you want to talk to us about those?
Well, I am going to be on a Kidlit TV episode, a Storytime episode, and a Story Makers, I think it's called, episode, and a read aloud on Kidlit TV. I believe that's coming out in May. And
you did say
I
you were
think
part of the San Francisco Book Festival. So
I am a part of the San Francisco Book Festival. I'm waiting to hear back from Mom's Choice Awards as to whether or not I've received that. And I'm just still looking for other contests to participate in and getting as many reviews as I can. And I also want to be on as many podcasts as I can so that I can share my resource of care with the world.
Well, that's always amazing. I don't know if you noticed the ones over my shoulder, but these are from the Dragonfly Awards. That's through Story Monsters Inc. They're always a great one for children's authors, and I always appreciate that they are multifaceted. They have the magazine that goes out to teachers and librarians that you can run ads in, get on their reading lists, and also through their awards program. So that's always a good one.
That's
so
wonderful.
Also are offering author visits to schools and organizations. So if somebody wants to book you for that, how would they connect with you for an author visit?
Okay, well, to do that, simply go to my website, which is portiayclare.com. And when you get there, you will find a link that allows you to fill in some information and email me to let me know specifically how I may assist you. And then I will get back in touch with you, and then we will go from there.
Right.
I'd be more than, that's exciting. I'd be more than happy to be a part of those events.
Yes, that's always very exciting to go into the classroom and get the kids excited about what it is you're doing and talking to them about being an author and writing and telling stories. And I always love going into classrooms, and my first comment is usually, I have the greatest job in the world. I get to make stuff up for a living. Which, they always find fascinating because most people don't think of it that way, but that's kind of what I do. I just make stuff up. So where can we find your books? So I know that I got my copy at Amazon that got pilfered by my grandchildren. So, but okay. Where else can we get your book?
Well, you can get an autographed copy of my book by visiting my website at portiayclare.com. It is available on Amazon. It's also at Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and Walmart.
Awesome. I always like to hear about that. And for those of you listening on one of the podcast channels without the audio, the Portia Y Claire is PORTIAY, as in young, Claire, CLARE.com. So, and again, we will have all the links provided in the show notes at the end. So we know that you have updates and events listed on your website. So where else, we're talking about your website. So this is where they can stay up to date on all the events and things that are happening with you. Do you have more books coming out?
I am currently working on a book. I have another book that has been completed, and I'm working on the illustrations. My cousin is actually helping me with completing the illustrations for that. And the third one I'm still writing, but I have many more books on the inside of me, and I'm going to do it now, just like my daddy admonished.
There you go. Do you have any kind of projected date for us on this second book?
I'm hoping that it will be out before the school year begins for 2022-2023, but I'm waiting on the illustrations. Everything else is done, just waiting for the illustrations.
So do we have a title that we could be looking for?
The title of that book is His Name Is My Daddy.
Very good. All right, I'm going to make a note of that so I can look for that when it comes out. So we're thinking maybe the August, September timeline for that of 2022. So we'll be looking forward to that. Of course, we want to have you back when the book is out so we can talk about it a little bit. Of course, you're also very active on social media. So where can the fans find you there?
Well, they can find me on Facebook. My Facebook author page is at Portia Y Claire, and they can find me on Instagram at Portia Y Claire.
Okay. Awesome. Well, again, we will have those listed in the show notes. So is there anything else, any kind of promotions, giveaways, special discounts, or anything that you want to add?
We're actually getting ready to do a giveaway within the coming week or two. We're going to be giving away an autographed copy of Best Friends Forever, A Puppy's Tale, and a $25 Visa gift card to those who like the book and who are actually sharing that book with others. They're going to be able to be entered into a drawing to win an autographed copy of my book and a $25 Visa gift card. So look out for that on Facebook and Instagram.
Can you give us just a little more detail of what exactly it is that they have to do to enter for this giveaway?
I'm working on the specific details of that right now. I haven't finalized exactly what I want them to do, but I know that it's going to happen in the next week or two.
Okay, great.
Okay. So look out for it on Facebook and on Instagram.
Okay, and for the time being, they can go to your website and sign up for your information for athletes. So,
absolutely.
We do want to encourage you to do that. Again, that's portiayclare.com. So go check that out. So we're very excited about that. So look for the giveaway coming next week. We're looking for your new book, His Name Is My Daddy, that's coming out sometime in August or September.
That is my hope.
Also, this Kidlit TV episode that is happening in May. I participated in that last year before last, I think, and it was very exciting, very fun. Rocco is always amazing.
Yes.
So and then again, you're going to be in San Francisco for the San Francisco Book Festival. So we look forward to that. And maybe you'll swing by the Citrus Heights area and see me, and we'll get a couple of photos and talk about books. So
that would be lovely.
Again, I am so thankful that you are here today. You want to hold up that book again. Again, the book title is Best Friends Forever. It's a puppy's tale. I highly recommend this book for children 4 to 9 years old, sometimes even a little bit older. It does talk about the unique friendship between a child and a pet. And it also talks about illness and dying and loss and recovery. These are things that I don't normally see in children's books, but it is handled very well. She does it with amazing compassion and hope for children. So I do highly recommend that you go pick up that book. If you have a family member who is going through illness, or if you have recently had a loss in your family, whether it be a family member or a fur family member, I would suggest going ahead and getting this book. It will help start the conversation about the loss and the recovery of that. So thank you again for coming on the Writer's Parachute. And we're going to just close out here real quick. We're going to pull the ripcord on a writing, marketing, publishing tip. Today, it's going to kind of cover the whole gamut. So we're going to talk about what Portia talked about asking for help. Again, I would say asking for help is incredibly important. I can't tell you how many authors I work with that they say writing the book was difficult, or so I thought, till I got done writing the book and I wanted to publish it. And then I realized writing the book was the easy part and I need help. So I would say there are several things that you can do. You can hire a writing coach, a publishing coach, someone to help you get through the process. There are paid people that will help you through the process, but there are many other opportunities that are not paid for. There are author associations specifically for children's books. There's the SCBWI, which is the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. There are many other writing associations. One that I highly recommend is the Authors Guild. There are, sci-fi writers, and, urban fantasy writers. There are so many different associations out there that you can become a member of. They always have like a back list of information and audio and video and trainings and stuff like that from prior conferences and things of that nature that are very, very helpful. Also, you can look into writing groups. I myself host 2 writing groups through the Shut Up and Write Association, and those are worldwide. They are actually internationally, so they're around the world pretty much day and night, any time of day or night. Most of them are being held online, which they converted to for the pandemic. Some of them had gone back to in person, but a good many of them have remained online, so they are more available than ever. And it's always good to have the association with other writers to talk about things, because you never know what who may have just that little tip or little bit of information that is very helpful to you. And this is a freebie, and it also gets you to build up your writing community of people that you want to talk to. Therefore, if you need a beta reader or you need somebody to just talk to about writing or something you're stuck on, these are very fertile ground for that. Also, think about an accountability partner. Again, a lot of times I recommend these through the writing groups, through the association. Sometimes the coaches will have recommendations for those, but accountability partners are always critical when you're working on this. Writing is a lonely, isolated business. And oftentimes we kind of get stuck in our head because that's where we do a lot of our creativity. But it's always good to step outside of your comfort zone, to ask for help, to see if you can find an accountability partner, even if that accountability partner is just, meeting with you once or, once a week, once a month, however often that works for you, and say, how's it going? Are you stuck? Is there anything we can talk about? Is there anything we can talk through? How about, I found this great website. I found this great award. I found this great conference. All of these things are incredibly important in your writing journey. So I really, really want to encourage you guys to reach out, to ask for that help,
Amen.
ask for other writers, to get to know other writers. And again, my last one is read. Read, read, read. Especially read in your specific genre. You're going to learn incredible amounts of information just by reading other authors who write in the same genre with you. You're going to see how they approach stories, how they write the stories, how they edit their stories, what they find important, what they don't find important. And you're going to find that is an incredible amount of information that's very helpful to you. I know this is a long tip today, but it's a really an important one. So I wanted to make sure we get that across to you. And I do thank you for joining us today on the Writer's Parachute, where we are guiding writer and author dreams to a perfect landing. And again, I want to thank you, Portia Y Claire, for joining us today. And I hope for all of you that everything that you do in the writing and publishing journey comes down to a perfect landing. Until next time, have a great week. We'll see you on the next side. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye, Mommy.